Beware of mindless leaders. Beware of mindless leaders and don't become one. Beware of mindless leaders and don't become one. There are mindless leaders out there, and I want to call your attention to this phenomenon as a leader so that you are careful not to operate as one, as a follower so that you are equally careful not to commit to one. I call them mindless leaders. Mindless leaders. And what makes mindless leaders? Okay. What makes mindless leaders? That's what we'll be examining as our nugget for this Monday. All right. Mindless leadership is the focus. You may not have had that before, but if you have, let's see if we're talking about the same thing. If you have not, well, here we go. And mindless leaders, are basically what that word calls them, mindless. Okay. What it means is that they don't feel for their followers. They really don't have empathy. All right. The interest of their followers is not paramount. All right. In their considerations, their followers' interest does not find any place in their list of priorities. If at all, their followers come way down the ladder in the list of their priorities. Mindless leaders are those who focus on themselves alone and particularly, everything that serves them well. All right. Their comfort, their results, everything that goes well, everything that speaks well, everything that positions them to advance in their career or to get more, or realize more of whatever their interest is. They are mindless leaders. And as you would have guessed, all right, the pursuit of their interests is often done at the expense of those they follow. Okay. So it's all about them. Leadership is all about them. When in fact, leadership is supposed to be about the follower. All right. Yes, the follower commits to the leader in expectation of value, all right, to derive from that commitment. To that extent, leadership is an exchange. All right. I commit as a follower to the leader, and the leader reciprocates, okay, by, sharing with me all that makes them tick. But that's only true for leaders who know their onions, not for leaders who are mindless, not for leaders who think about themselves alone. And there are more people, more leaders, more of such, all right, all around than those who are mindful, of those who follow them. It's the irony of leadership, but it's not surprising because there are often, more fakes than there are originals. Okay. And so that's it. Now, you have to be careful as a leader not to become one because it's very easy to say, well, I'm not one. We can be self righteous, about all of these things, but it's important to examine yourself. It's important to examine yourself. And there are ways that you can do that. When issues, how do you conduct, all right, your leadership? For example, your authority. I mean, whose purpose, whose interest do you use it to serve? Do you serve your own interests, all right, by converting stones into bread, just like, the devil wanted Jesus to do, to use his authority to serve his interests? That's what mindless leaders do. Or do you use your position, okay, to enjoy privileges, not minding that you have followers? Is it possible that you are like the rich fool, you know, who of course had staff working for him, but when he had this abundant harvest, he only thought about himself, about how to secure his future, all right, and never thought about the staff who worked to realize the harvest? Those are mindless leaders. Those are mindless leaders. Or perhaps you are a leader who has since forgotten or set aside the very credible and potent lessons that you were taught by other leaders. The people who groomed you taught you, and they taught you well, but you have since forgotten. All right. You are like a man now who looked at himself in the mirror, sees what he looks like, but the moment he walks away, he forgets, what he looks like, and it's business as usual. All right. If you find yourself in any of those categories, you are a mindless leader. And you may have become so because maybe you didn't start that way, but you may have become so. And that's what pride does. All right. Power corrupts, absolute power corrupts absolutely. That's what pride does. Because, yes, even if you were trained and trained well as a leader, in the course of practicing leadership, all right, and as you gain influence, all right, and as you realize results, as you make impact, you may begin to see yourself as being so successful that that begins to lead you into the realm of pride. And the moment you go into the realm of pride, then you are back to focusing on self and not the followers, not the lives that have been committed into your hands. Okay? Mindless leaders, they favor their own personal comfort, all right, and never mind what happens to those who follow them. They lead for personal comfort. That's a mindless leader. That's a mindless leader. All right. A leader was told once, I'm going to follow you. I admire you so much. I want to become like you. And he saw the sincerity in the heart of the one who was saying it. And he immediately called that person's attention. He said, well, let me tell you, birds, foxes have holes. Birds have their nests, all right? But a leader has nowhere to lay his head. He was warning that person ahead of time that, be careful to understand what leadership is about. Okay, I don't know what you have seen in me. I don't know what you find attractive. I hope it is not the paraphernalia of office or the parasites, okay, or the authority that I command. I hope it's not, because the calling to lead is fraught with great personal cost, and one of the elements of the cost is personal discomfort. All right, is personal discomfort. And that tells you who a good leader is. That tells you the kind of leader to follow. The leaders who are mindful of you. All right, leaders who are mindful of you, who are not mindful about what they are getting out of their relationship with you, who are mindful about what you are getting from that relationship, who are committed to delivering value to your life, to upgrading the quality of your life, to ensuring that the time that you spend with them is not in vain. All right? To ensure that you remember that time, all right, for good. Those are the kinds of leaders that you want to follow. Those are the kinds of leaders you want to follow. Mindless leaders are shameless. They want what they want, irrespective of you, irrespective of what you want, and they would go to any length to get it. Mindless leaders are deceptive. All right? They make it look as if they're interested in you and in what you get, but they are pretentious. They are the kinds of leaders referred to as wolves in sheep clothing. All right. And we are told to beware of them. Beware of them as a follower. Beware of them as leaders. If you are a credible leader, understand that you are operating for the most part among, all right, mindless leaders. Among mindless leaders. I send you out as sheep, all right, among wolves. That's the reality of your leadership. Okay. Yes, you want to do right, you want to do good, but you are surrounded by mindless leaders. And that's if you're a leader. All right. Beware of wolves in sheep clothing. There are false leaders out there. All right. That's for you if you are a follower. Either way, it's important to understand that not everyone who calls himself leader or who you call leader is a leader and is worthy to be followed or worthy, to be associated with. And in case you don't know what wolves do, wolves are very dangerous. And I'll just give you an idea of some of the things that they do and some of the ways that you can identify them in your leaders. They are greedy, number one. They are greedy. They don't share benefits with anyone. So if your leader is someone like that, if you have seen such traces in your leader, then you should know the kind of leader you are talking about. They are merciless, all right? They are not forgiving. They are not forbearing. They can't accommodate you making mistakes. They descend on you as if they never made mistakes in their lives, as if they are still not making mistakes or that everything they do, they get it right. They are cruel as wolves. They are not kind leaders. They don't show understanding. All right. They are the ones who don't mind whether you have an emotional issues, whether you have issues that are troubling you. They don't get interested. There are people who want you just to do the work. Once you show up at work, just do the work. They don't mind whether the person has any personal issues, any emotional challenges, or the like. That's cruelty. That's not being kind, and those are some of the things. All right. Wolves also tear, into the poor and they feast on them. They take advantage of people who look up to them. All right. The same people following them, the same people expecting, to become something in life by following them are the people they turn against. They feast on them. They extract, benefits from them, and they discard them ultimately, just like wolves. They discard them ultimately. All right. Those are some of the characteristics of wolves. All right. Those are some of the characteristics of wolves and therefore of mindless leaders, All right. Of mindless leaders. Now, my final word will be this. The reason why a leader is also one, to know a true leader is one, to understand that he or she is operating among, mindless leaders for the most part, is that like thorns, okay, can choke a growing crop. All right. Being surrounded by mindless leaders without you knowing who they are, it can be a problem for your good leadership. So be careful with your association. Yes, there are leaders. Yes, there are other leaders, but they are not leaders like you. They are not mindful like you. They are not authentic like you. And if you are not careful, you may become one of them. If you are not careful, all right, slowly, gradually, but surely, you may become one of them. And that will be a shame. That will be a shame. All right. Leadership is for good and authentic leadership, ones that add value to the lives of those who commit to follow you. As a good leader, as an authentic leader, you are not to take advantage of the people. It's not about you. It's not about your personal comfort. It's not about you wallowing in benefits, in riches, in wealth, while others are wallowing or grappling with hardship, with lack, with poverty. That's not what leadership is about. If you are following that kind of leader, it's time to review your relationship and to look for a leader who will be mindful of you, of your interests, and will commit to the pursuit of your interests until you realize it. The true leader is joyful, seeing that the interests of those who have committed to him, those committed into his hands to nurture, seeing that their interest is realized. That's my nugget for you on leadership on Monday today. And I hope that you will steer clear of mindless leaders and you will watch never to become one. Never to become one. I remain Olatunji Shobodu. We've been talking mindless leadership today on Leadership on Monday. Join me again on Thursday when I'll be speaking to yet another interesting aspect of leadership. For now, have a wonderful week. Bye-bye.